All right. There's that. And let's load up this part here. Make sure that we're actually online. We seem to be online. That's fine. That's working. Make sure that this is working. There we go. The first poll should be on. All right. Okay. Well, as far as I can tell, that's working. I need to change this part. Bring the chat in. And switch it to live. Yep, there we go. Hey, what's going on? All right. And we're live. We're live on a Saturday. I know that's different, but like I said, it's going to be a little weird. We're in a one-car situation, me and my wife. That's the truth of it. That's the situation we're in. And as we're doing things, like all your normal stuff, right? All your normal life stuff, we are coming across an issue where I've been getting forced on weekends, and she's been getting forced, like, she's working like 6 days a week right now. And she's working like from like, basically our commute puts us at like 6 to 6. So Monday has been getting kind of difficult. You notice sometimes I don't even get in here until like 7 o'clock at night or whatever, which isn't quite right. Doesn't give us a whole lot of time. So today there wasn't anything going on, and I figured I'd get in here and I'd do one of these. Now these might be changing to Sundays. It's the day that both me and her have off. It's the day that seems to be mostly open. The only thing that would throw Sunday off is that I exchange my kid on Sundays, you know, parent, that kind of situation. And when I do that, sometimes I have to drive a good deal in order to do it. So like that can kind of change my commute, especially if that commute ends up happening around like 6. If it's like 6 at night and I have to drive all the way out to get her, that could be an hour. And then, so yeah, that's a whole situation. It's not that serious. Backup camera. I am disabling that, by the way. We have had enough trouble with it that's going to go bye-bye. However, in order to make it go bye-bye, I have to look up the exact one that I have, because I know this is an OBS. Now all of a sudden I can't even say the name of it. But I can't remember if this is an SE or a 2. It might be a 2, and I don't want to download the wrong one. You have to download a special thing, like an Orb Center or something like that, and then you use that to shut down this the AI that gets all the stuff that it recognizes, like the hand gestures and stuff. There's no way to do it like without downloading that, and I didn't want to mess with it right now. But we are going to get rid of the hand gestures because they're a little stupid. Like they're kind of irritating me. Okay, let's see. Definitely not Monday yet. I know. I get it. It's weird. What's going on? Let's see. Right now we are split. We're only 3 minutes in, to be fair, so we're still very much just getting started with everything. But I figured I'd come on. We'd hang out for a while, you know, before I go find something to eat or whatever. I don't know how late I'm eating, to be fair. We'll figure it out. And I don't know how these really go on Saturdays. I know that I'm not exactly scheduled for Saturdays, so I know that changes how it works in general. There, let me move the mic. So that's always something to consider. So I don't know how and when, how many people will like find this or whatever. But we'll figure it out. We'll go as we go. I know a lot of other toy channels and whatnot do Saturday streams. So that's the reason why Saturday is not going to become a normal. I think if I hit a normal, it would end up having to be like a Sunday. I was enjoying Wednesday, but like I said, it kept happening over and over and over again that my wife would work overtime and then I'd have to go get her and everything. So like, it's a mess. That's the thing about doing YouTube as a hobby instead of like a job is like it's really hard to lock down like a guaranteed schedule. It's not easy. Okay. But let's see how we are doing. We are currently looks like we got about 4 people hanging out, it seems. And we are roughly 5 minutes on the vote with a split so far. Let's see. Hey, Bill, did you see Star Wars The Black Series Maul Shadow Lord action figure? I do. I did see that. He looked pretty cool. Also, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 112 Collective Splinter action figure. I saw him too. He looked pretty cool. I also liked the 112 Turtles that they released, even though I did not buy them. I thought they looked pretty solid. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I wonder if there's an argument to be made that they were almost overpriced, because they were pretty expensive. But looking at what they are, like what they came from, the price is pretty on par for like what that toy company asks for on the regular. So I don't think that it was necessarily like, it shouldn't have been anything nobody didn't see coming, is what I'm saying. G.I. Joe Reaction Hydro Viper. I did not see that. I did not know about that. And in terms of the Holothon release, I looked over the image. Because I am where I am in terms of my turtles and whatnot, one of the only things I'm really currently looking for is an Usagi Yojimbo, and I saw that they're doing one. I don't know if he fits my ideal. I'll have to kind of take a real look at him and see, but like he's the only thing that I feel I'm missing, really, like out of my turtles. For some reason I really feel like I need one of him, because I've always liked him, but like I don't currently have one. I did see that they have like a classic one being re-released or whatever, like a Playmates design or whatever. And I thought that was kind of cool. I almost jumped on that, but I talked myself out of it. Because, like, I have a set of the original Turtles, but I don't really go past the original Turtles. I have, like, the original Turtles, Splinter, and Shredder in terms of the old classic figures. And I don't really need too much else. I'm not really too worried about picking up too much else. So we'll see where we get with that. It starts this week, coming up at Targets. Keep an eye for him. I will then. I will. Definitely will. Today, I ended up at a Walmart because I was out eating, and all of a sudden my phone gives me like a notice, and I'm like, oh, neat. And I look at it, and it says that Max Shrek is at Walmart for pickup right now, 5 minutes away from me. And I'm like, what? So I immediately go, well, crap. I've got to do that. So I get in the car, I drive over there, I get there, I look at the shelf, they're not there. I ask a guy, and oh my God, I get it. I get that you grew up or whatever, but like, I go and I ask, and I'm like, hey, there's supposed to be a figure here. It says that you have it in stock. I almost ordered it, but then I was like, hey, I'm already here, I'll just pick it up. Do I need to order this? Is it something that's like in the back, or is this a quantity error? Because we get that all the time. I've worked a good portion, easily half my life in logistics. It is not that uncommon to think that you have something like the numbers on the site is not right. So then somebody will order, and then I have to like back order something or zero out a location or something. It's not that uncommon. I'm sure it happens at stores just as much as it happens in the industrial area that I work in. So I said that, and I went and I, talked to the guy or whatever. And like, I told him I'm looking for Max Shrek. this guy has to easily be a little bit older than I am, but I guess he's never watched the Batman movie, or he just does not remember. So he's like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "It's a figure. Looking for an action figure." And then he goes, "Huh? Can I see it?" So I show him my phone. Yeah, here he is. And he looks it over and he goes, and he kind of puts his finger and he kind of moves the screen a little bit. So that's like a game? What? No, it's an action figure. And he goes, "All right, what does it say?" What is it? What do you mean, you don't know what it says? Says Max Shrek, says it's in inventory, says I can pick it up in an hour if I order it right now. Should I just do that? Should I just order it and go find something to do? And he's like, "Oh, hold on. Let me look at it." Then he's looking. And I mean, he's looking. And I'm kind of wondering, like, what is happening? And he looks at my phone for a minute. "Oh, K14. And I go, "All right, okay." So I go over to K14 because I walk over there and I notice he's like walking after me. And I'm like, "I really don't need your help. Like I've already determined that I don't need your help. I am trying my hardest not to be disrespectful because like I don't know what's going on in that guy's life. I don't know. I really don't. But like I'm done. I'm like, oh, come on, dude. All I wanted to know is if you had this, if it was an inventory problem, if you knew where I could find it. Like, and this interaction has not, it's put me into the mindset that you're either very, very new here or you really don't know what I'm asking. So I'm just going to go find it. But I get over there and I look through some of the figures and whatnot. And of course, this is the second time I've looked through the figures, so I know he's not there. And I look a little bit and I'm like, well, he doesn't seem to be here. I'm guessing this is an inventory problem. He goes, "Yeah, sometimes we don't have stuff." Yeah. I know. Like, I know. I know. Thank you. And he's like, yeah. Anything else? No. Cool. So he walks off, and I'm like, you know what? Just because, who knows, maybe he's supposed to be over here, and maybe there's something in terms of, like, maybe there's something in the back. I don't know. I really don't. So I figure, hey, I'm already here. I'm not just going to walk away. I could possibly get Max Shrek. It's the last thing I need for that line. Add, order, thank you. It's like, hey, you could pick this up at like $3.40. I'm like, dang, I'm sorry I waited 10 minutes to say yes. That's fine. You know what? If they give me a call, I'm not doing anything today. I'll come back out. I leave. It's only like a little less than an hour after I leave and I get the notice on my phone or whatever. Hey, inventory, would you like to substitute something? I'm like, no, I would not. No. And I don't want a different figure. I only wanted the thing that I was interested in. Thank you anyway. And so then like that's it. So I didn't get it, but I guess I did get an experience. So yeah, it's wild. The thing is, this is not the only time that something like this has happened to me. I have a lot of shopping experiences that are very close to this, like at Best Buy and things like that. And I just don't know. I just have some sort of bad luck or something. So we're at 13 and DC has won. So let me go ahead and put them as the main thing real quick, and then we'll move from there. Okay, I know that I have that, and I know that I have And then it gets iffy. Oh, okay. Do I have a fourth? Oh, I do have a fourth. Okay, yeah. Let's also put... There. There we go. There's those. Well, my phone is buzzing like crazy. Let me make sure that's not important. It is not important. Okay. I get weird looks when I'm looking at figures. People looking at me like you're grown looking at toys. I get it. I very much get it. Look, I've actually talked about this. I have a video on the channel that says like what it's like to be a 40-year-old collector. And I've run into this problem quite a few times. There's still a stigma attached to this kind of thing. And I get it for the most part. But at the same time, there's a hypocrisy to the idea, because like the same kind of thing runs through like if you want to collect video games, you'll kind of get looks like that. If you're into toys, you'll get looks like that. If you're into comic books, I get looks like that at work when like I'm reading Conan comics or whatever, like during my break, I'll take my book out or whatever in my bag and I've got like 10 minutes and I'll read like 3-4 pages or whatever and then close it up and put it away. And I'll sometimes get looks like, what's that? That's a comic book? Yes, that's a comic book. You still read comics? Depending on what it is, yes, I do. Because it's still reading. It's a form of entertainment. And I'm not 100% sold on the idea that you have to give up everything that made you a kid in order to be an adult. Like, in order to be an adult. I've never understood that mentality, and I never will. I take care of my own stuff. I take care of my own stuff. I have a kid. I have a wife. I have 2 dogs, both rescue dogs. I have a house. I have a car. Like, I did all the things that I'm supposed to do, and I keep all that stuff in order. I just happen to like something that I guess grown people consider to be not that, not okay or whatever. But it's funny because, like, I'm also the same guy that you call if you need me to come, like, work on the yard with you, or if we need to cut down a tree, or like you can give me a call and I'll be there to help you move. Like, I'm still that guy too. So, but the two can't mix. It's like not okay. This is one of those hobbies that gets looked at the way that it does. And there's a bunch of hobbies like that. But the thing I find funny about hobbies when they work out this way, when like people are like, oh my gosh, really? Like something childish? You play video games or yada yada? Those same people are like watching television in like a debilitating rate, like a literal debilitating rate. I've seen the people that literally, they go to work, they come home, they watch TV. Like right when they walk in the door, they turn their TV on, they're watching TV. Like that's like, they take in like 6-7 hours worth of television. I would argue that at the very minor least, some of my hobbies are more interactive. I pose, I take photographs, I move items, I sort, I constantly catalog, I do YouTubes and things like that, I edit, but none of that matters because it's like not an adult hobby. An adult hobby is like watching, like I said, like that. Oh, wow. Uh-oh. I think I just lost my feed somehow. At least I'm guessing that's what happened because I've never seen that. I've never seen that take place. I have completely frozen on my end. Am I frozen on your end too? I am frozen on both ends. That's interesting. That's never happened. Let's try something here. Let me see if that's what's going on. There we go. Come on. Recognize me. I think it's the camera. Does it got me? Does it got me now? It seems like it came on for a second. Let me deactivate it and reactivate it. Oh, I fixed it. I've never seen it do that before. So far, we've never had that error because it didn't seem like I lost connection. It just like lost the camera. That was really bizarre, but I've got it fixed now. So let's put that back in place and keep going. Weird. But anyways, that whole situation is funny to me. Like I said, with these hobbies that get looked at in that light, because like I've never understood it. It kind of, that whole thing kind of messed my train of thought up. But I've never really understood that idea of like looking at people that way. And then the same idea, like I know people that do like fantasy football and stuff like that, and like that's one of their hobbies. And I'm like, you don't think that is a level of nerdy? But it's like a weird level of acceptable nerdy. Like you can wear a football jersey or something of that nature, you know, and that's fine. That's like an acceptable level. But you could wear, I've seen people wear, like you wear a Superman shirt or something and they look at you like you're a child or something, which I always found kind of bizarre because like we're really still doing the same thing. Like, I don't know. Hating somebody for their hobby is very, very weird. It's very, very strange to me. So far, Jay Garrick is winning this one. Let's check a couple things. I'll keep an eye for Max out for you. Well, let me know. You remember that video? Okay. I don't know, like, that video. Yeah, well, yeah, I guess now when I think about it, that video had to have been 2 years ago now. That surprises me. If I leave comments on other videos, some people reply to me saying, go play with toys because my channel says it's figure review channel. Go play with toys. I will. Okay, good. Yes, it was just the video. Your audio was fine. That's very weird. So far, that is the only time. But I did notice something was weird because, like, the camera blinked blue and then everything froze. And then it kept blinking and then it went back to green and I had to, like, reset it to get it to take. So far, it has never done that in the time that we've been using this camera. So that was weird. It really threw me off. We have about 3 minutes left, and it seems like Jay is going to win. We have 5 votes currently, and I think it looks like we have relatively about 5 people currently. So we could actually be done with this one. Jay Garrett could have won. In fact, let's go ahead and call it there. Jay Garrett. All right. Let's start with Jay. Jay Garrick. I'm just fumbling all around with him. Here he is. Jay Garrick. Old Flash, but not like old. He's not the old one. This is the younger Jay Garrick from the crossover event when Flash went to Flash. Flash went to the Flash comic, and then Flash met Flash, and they were both, they're both young guys. That's where we are. My association with this character is the Justice Society. Specifically, when the Justice Society was brought back and they were older heroes that were training younger heroes. That is my real association with Jay Garrick. I almost passed on this because it was a younger Jay Garrick, and I didn't know 100% how that would fit in with some of the other ones that I have since I'm collecting the older heroes, and the older heroes kind of remind me of that time when I was reading JSA. But I decided that this one looked really good. I wanted Jay Garrick on the shelf, and it made sense. I did not look in to whether or not the other Jay Garrick was the older one. Like if they gave him a different head that made him the older one. I just know his colors were a little like darker, if I remember right, on the other one. Because I almost bought the other one a while back, but then I passed on it. So this right here, this fills one of the major gaps in my JSA. It means I only need for JSA, I mean, yeah, you could argue things like Sandman and whatnot would be cool to have, and if I come across one, yes, I'm very interested. But right now, in terms of I'd be satisfied if I never got another JSA, all I really need is an Alan Scott. That's it. If I don't get another JSA figure, ever, it will not break my heart. Like, if I won't, I probably wouldn't even bat an eye, if I'm being perfectly honest. Excuse me, perfectly honest about it. I just don't think it would bug me. Yeah. There's not a whole lot for me to say. I don't have a huge association with this guy, other than I always thought it was really cool that he was like an older Flash. And it was cool to kind of see, like, every now and then when he could, like, teach a trick to somebody or something like that, because he was supposed to be older, had the powers longer, and things like that. But, yeah, this is one of those ones that I really like this, and I kind of did want this book. I've never actually got to read this famous crossover book. So this is also one of those rare times when, in a way, I almost have to take back something I've said before. I still kind of fall on the same opinion. I don't really know about the comic books packed in with figures. Camera, calm down, back up. But that doesn't change that this one will be cool. Like, I think my problem with comic books coming with figures is nuanced. It may be kind of complicated. Like, okay, when they released the Frozen Batman characters or whatever, I can't remember, it's called like Frozen Over or something like that. But it was like the Barbarian Batman, the Batgirl, the Robin, and the Mr. Freeze that looked like he was like a big daddy or whatever. Like, when they released those, they released 4 comic books as well. And those 4 comic books all had 4 different covers. And I thought, oh, cool, you get everybody, you'll get a storyline of the whole thing plus these figures. You don't. You get part 1. And that is it. Part 1 of that story, which is probably 5 or 6 different books. I don't know, I never bothered to look it up. The problem persists that now you have part 1 of a story that you will more than likely, especially if you are the average consumer, never complete. You will never read that book. You will read the first one and then wonder where it was going. Most people will not be enticed to get into comics, and it may put them off of comics even more. I don't think this often does favors for the comic book industry. When they released the Wonder Woman, they released a Wonder Woman issue 1. That makes sense. In fact, that's perfect. Gives you an idea. Hey, this is Wonder Woman. It's where she started. This is her first book. It's a little adventure story. There you go. Do the same thing with Superman. That makes sense. Do the same thing with a Batman first appearance. That makes sense. You could have even done it with this guy. This is a famous book, and more than likely it's one single story and you can read it. I don't know that yet, though. What if I open this and it's like a 2 or a 3 part? I don't think it is. I think this was before they were doing that all the time. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. So in this case, it's going to be okay. But like, I can't tell you how often I've done things like this. Like, you bought the Ninja Turtles and you get a comic book, but it's not like a one-shot. More than likely, it's going to be a part 1 of the IDW series or something of that nature, or whatever comic book that pertains to them from, and then that's a mess. Like, single issues are not something that's very easy to hunt down. You could go to convention after convention after convention, store after store after store, and it could take a very, very long time, and it could take real money, depending on the storyline that you're talking about, to piece it all together. Or you could just buy the graphic novel and be done with it. That kind of makes me feel like this is still kind of a bad idea. They put this comic book in here, and then you get it, and then you open it, and then you read it. Like I said, what if it's a part 1? And there's like 8 books or something like that. Do you know the headache that it would be to track down the other 7 books? I mean, realistically, go to your comic shop, and if your comic shop is a small comic shop that only really does like a couple of boxes, and then they got the newest things on the wall, good luck. Because in 20 long boxes, there's a good chance that most everything in the 20 long boxes that's basically cheap books. They're like, hey, 50-cent books. They're all like from the 90s or something like that. So they're not the book that you just got. And then the classic books are going to be separated into another set of long boxes, and they're going to be more expensive. And you're probably not going to like the idea that in order to finish the story that you got with an action figure, it's probably going to cost you another $40 on top of it to get the classic issues, if you can even hunt them down. Does that get somebody into comic books? Like, is that a first introduction that makes them go, man, you know what really got me into comics? I got this one comic, and then I had to hunt like 5 or 6 others down, and it took like almost 2.5 years of my life, and nobody wants that. Like, nobody wants that. It kind of blows my mind. It does. So, while this time it is cool, I still kind of stick to what I said. I don't know if this is a good idea. And when we do comic books, for some reason, we do this clamshell crap. This, personally, is the worst action figure packaging. Like, I detest this. It is a real pain. I don't know who loves these things, but I do not. Maybe if I was an inbox collector, which is an irony all on its own, because now if I was an inbox collector and they don't turn this comic book that way, so you don't even get this as like a background, you get just that as a background. That would be cool, I guess, if it was hanging on your wall or whatever. And sure, you get to see the whole figure, so that makes the clamshell kind of cool. But it also makes sure that you never see this, and you'll never read this. Which then, once again, for inbox collectors, makes the comic book pointless. And maybe without the comic tie-in, you could have saved an extra $3. I don't know. Maybe. And maybe, since like plastic costs what it does, and it's constantly on the rise, maybe less giant plastic clamshells would also help to cost a little bit less. Maybe if this was a card back with a blister, it would be cheaper. Maybe. Can't say that for sure because prices are always all over the place. I don't know. It's just I've never really been into the comics coming with the figures. I know that there's been a couple of times that I've been like, oh, cool, or I've discovered something that way. But I don't know that it's consistent enough for me to call it a great idea. Let's open this guy. All right. He comes with the Flash. That's it. Comes with the Flash. He gets a stand, and we're not going to complain about this one because he runs. So this should be fine. He gets a card. Sure. I'm way past the trading card point of my life. He gets the comic, which will be cool this time. But we've already talked about my issues with that. Now, we have the Flash. Jay Garrick. Flash. Look at that guy. Look at that guy right there. Come on, there we go. Look at him. He's dashing. He's a 1940s superhero guy right there. Look at that guy right there. He's a good guy. This guy's super stupid simple, and he really shows you just how the times have changed. The thing about the JSA stuff is that when you see these characters and you see the history of how looks have altered over the years, this hat, that was probably cool. Now it's kind of dumb, and I love it for being kind of dumb. I love that dumb hat. And, he just wears, a red shirt. Literally, this is your grandpa's sweater with, a lightning bolt on it. That's all it is. And then he's got some, basically some slacks or blue jeans. The red boots are the most complicated thing this guy is wearing. Because he's got those wings and everything, and yeah, this is you could just make this. There's probably a shirt somewhere that just has a lightning bolt on it and it's red. And you could buy some blue jeans or some slacks. Red boots are probably hard to find. So that's probably the most complicated thing of his entire superhero outfit, except for this hat. And where he got that, I cannot even speculate. I have no friggin' clue. But there's something kind of cool about seeing how simple things were. This was a passable costume. This was a superhero. That. When you look at where the Flash ended up, and even still, the Flash is considered almost to be outdated, the one that I grew up with. Because the Flash that I grew up with it just being the red and gold suit or red and yellow suit, that's considered kind of antiquated and old at this point. And now whenever they bring it into a new thing, like a video game or anything of that nature, they gotta soup it up. They gotta add armor to it or something like that. Or they gotta add a bunch of lines and put these yellow things that run through him or something like that. Or they gotta constantly add lightning effects so that he's not just standing there so he's cool. Costumes get more complicated and more complicated and more complicated. Where they were such a simple thing. They really were. Some characters were literally as easy as domino mask and a trench coat. It really has changed so dramatically over the years. But, guys, what do you really want to say? You saw his face. You see his costume. You see his butt cheeks. There you go. That's what he is. He's a McFarlane figure. He moves like a McFarlane figure. His ankles will not give me any problems. I'm not going to have any issues trying to make the guy kind of run. I do wish that he would have gotten, actual running hands. But let's also say something about the running hands. I think this is a negative for the figure. Okay? We're just going to say that. I'm just going to put it out there. It is a negative for the figure. You know I'm not a review show. I'm just saying first impressions. If this was the first guy I bought and I was really huge into the Flash and all I did was buy Flash characters, that was me, right? Flash, baby. This guy would feel incomplete. Because all he has is 2 punching hands. Which, I guess, If the idea is you are going to display him, put him on your shelf, there you go. He'll look better with 2 punching hands than he will with 2 running hands standing in a static pose. I won't argue that. But everybody's figure is somebody's first figure. And while I have multiple hands from this run, other people don't. So they're going to have a real tough time getting him to have, like running hands and whatnot. They won't have them. I could probably get away with like using Superman flight hands or something like that in the right pose, and it's not going to be noticeable. His hands are going to work the same as every other one of these figures. Man, his hands are on there. There. Dang. Like, that was really something. But like others, it's not going to be the same. Like, it's going to be a little different, is what I'm saying. I'm not going to just be able to, like, pop the hand off and replace it. Some people will only have that hand. Like, that's the only one they'll have, and they won't really be making do with, another hand or whatever. Like, you could tell I'm, like, rambling right now. I'm kind of, like, out of it. But anyways, there's that one. He's added to the shelf. Let's get the next thing ready, and we'll go to the chat. So... so we did those. So let's do... There's that. And... there. And then we will do... there. And we will see... Oh, this question. So there's only one thing that I care about when it comes to that. I can't get this friggin' hand back on. I'll have to heat this up. His hands are wild. I'm actually kind of surprised I didn't break that. You want the truth of it. Like, the way it popped off, and boy, it is not pushing back on there. I'm kind of looking at it, making sure I don't see any visible tearing or anything like that. It's just, yeah, it's just really tight, man. I gotta heat that hand up. I'm not gonna force that. Not after it came off the way it did. That was kind of wild. But there's only one thing that I have to think of about that. The fact that it's Paramount buying DC. Are all the shows going to go to Paramount Plus? This is literally the only thing I care about. Look, if the merger goes through, and it sounds like it's going through, because you never 100% know. Sometimes the acquisition happens and the merger can be blocked for whatever reason. There's a lot of legalese stuff that's happening. But if it goes through, and it sounds like it definitely is, there's a couple of things. Like, I know there's a lot of people that are talking about stuff like the movies and things like this, like the DC Universe movies and things. I don't care. Consistently, I don't think there's been a solid DC Universe in the movies yet, so we'll wait to see what happens, and I'm not too worried about it. But I am interested in, do all those shows, all the WB shows and their cartoons and all the superhero shows and all the superhero animated movies, as well as the superhero movies and somewhat, do they go over to Paramount Plus? Or does Paramount Plus shut down? I don't want this. Does Paramount Plus shut down because HBO feels like a more market name? Like, how does that work? Or does Paramount run both of those, owning both of those, and still keeping them as separate streaming services and then forcing you to pay for both of them? Or do they combine and then offer you like some sort of a pack that's like a kick in the teeth because it ends up costing like with Disney, there's like Disney Hulu, but you don't get Disney and Hulu. You get Disney, you get Hulu, or you get a pack with both of them. And you have to pay like basically like a premium. Do I have to do that with Paramount? Is there now going to be a Paramount HBO or whatever? Like, is like, are all the John Oliver shows that I watch or something like that, is Last Week Tonight or whatever going to be over there? Is that what's going to happen? If it is, I guess great, and I will watch it. But otherwise, like, that's really my only concern, because I use Paramount Plus. I use it because I watch Star Trek. That's literally the reason I own it. There's a couple other shows on there, sure, but it's me. I bought it day one, like the day they launched that service, I bought it because Star Trek. That was it. And I use it pretty consistently. About every single night, I watch 1 or 2 episodes. I usually start to lay down sometime around 9:30. I have a TV in my bedroom. I stream Paramount, and I stream a Star Trek episode. Are my Star Trek episodes about to cost more? Will I also be able to stream Justice League cartoons and Superman cartoons and things like that? Because if so, that's great. But that's my only real question with all this. Most of the other stuff, we won't notice. Unless we're really being hardcore nerds about the whole thing and like digging into everything and seeing contracts and everything like that. Let's be honest about the situation. When you were growing up, these types of mergers were happening all the time. And you never blinked an eye. You never noticed it. Because in the long run, it really didn't matter. Like, movies were still getting made, and you were still going to see movies, and that was pretty much the end of it. And that'll kind of be the same. A lot of these, like, big, giant, like, oh, Paramount and HBO and yada yada, and all, when they merge, I usually don't even bat an eye. Like, yeah, it's questionable about everything going under the umbrella, like when Disney like gobbles up like Marvel and all these other things, and then you kind of go, well, how's that going to happen? Well, basically, Marvel movies started being made by Disney, and then they appeared on their streaming service, and like, okay, like whatever. Like, so what? And so now we have X-Men 97 technically under the Disney banner, but it still felt like X-Men, and it still felt like the original series, and we still watched it, and we still enjoyed it. And let's say you were not a super nerd, like where we kind of sit in that category, and you didn't know or read about any of this stuff, and you really never knew, and somebody just told you, dude, did you know Disney's bringing back the X-Men? And you'd be like, oh man, I used to watch that on Fox. And it would not even be in your mind. Like, that's what I mean. Like, a lot of this stuff is kind of meaningless, and I've learned to just kind of shrug my shoulders about it as we go. Not that you shouldn't pay attention, but like, yeah, that's kind of where my mind is. My biggest question is, how's it going to affect my streaming? Like, that's about it. Hey, what's going on? Yes, it is Saturday. Hey, what's up, man? Still waiting for the 89 Joker to drop. Yes, I know. He's not the only thing, I thought. I thought there were a couple from McFarlane that I was trying to keep my eye on. But I really need to start keeping like a little notebook of things that I should be keeping my eye on, because like I lose it in the mess of stuff. Saturday Night Live. It is. It absolutely is. Let's see. Was going to pre-order Professor Hulk, but I may hold off on that. I may hold out for that X-Men. I am definitely... I'm not a Hulk person. My only reason for getting a Hulk was I want a Hulk. Like, it really was no more than that. When I think Avengers, I think Hulk. I was building an Avengers team. I needed Hulk. There we go. That was pretty much where my mindset was. So now I have a Hulk, and I'm happy with that. And it's going to be a while before I buy another one. I didn't really necessarily care about Professor Hulk. I wasn't reading those books, so I've got no connection. So that one kind of like went right out the door with me. I didn't even care. But that Archangel, that's cool. I want that. I passed on the X-Force one specifically because the colors didn't feel right. I know that one. I know the X-Force and things like that. That's not what I'm getting at. But if I want one Archangel on the shelf, and truly that's what I'll have one, and then I'll have no reason to get another. That's the one I want. So that's the reason I decided to put off and wait and get this one. And I'm glad that I put it off and waited, because I said, well, if they make this angel body, chances are we're going to get him in his original form at some point. So I'll just wait it out. And it paid off. So now we finally got him coming in for the X-Men 97 stuff. And that is, I'm right there with you. That's the one that I want. Absolutely. I also put off buying the Maximum Thor. I want him, but there's too much stuff hitting in March. So I'm going to wait it out and see how March plays. And if he's still there, which so far all of the Maximums have kind of been available. I can't say this for sure, but it might be a failing line in terms of its capacity to the other lines and how well it sells. Because like I'm noticing like Marvel Legends will sell off the shelves and be gone, but I haven't seen the pre-orders for the Maximum figures like die. And then even when they go away, like when the pre-order's done, there's just like, hey, this is in stock. So I'm not too worried. So far, the running of it makes me feel like I'll get it and I don't have to worry. And heck, depending on how March hits me, maybe I'll order him in a week or two after I've got everything kind of situated. So I don't know. I think finding a Grail you've always wanted on sale is an experience everyone should experience. It feels awesome. I agree. I do, absolutely. I'm not sure what it was you were hunting, but that is cool. Let's see. Do I think they'll keep James? I've had somebody almost like literally on the verge of hate spamming me that thinks they won't, but I don't really know. And I don't know how I feel about it one way or another. My primary concern would be hopes that they continue the DC stuff they're doing. So what I mean by that is whether Gunn is here or not, a big part of all this that has hurt like the DC stuff is that it's never consistent. It goes like 3-4 movies and it dies. 3-4 movies and it dies. Or it goes one movie and it wasn't good enough to actually get it off the ground and it dies. Like we have yet to see a DC cinematic universe that worked personally. I don't think we have. That's the way I feel about it. We were closest with the last one, but I personally disliked half of it, so like it didn't matter to me. So yeah, I don't know. Like, but I know people are talking about it right now. It's like a huge part of the conversation. Like all these channels are really kind of digging into that. They're like, "Oh, what do you think?" And like, so like I get it. I know that's on people's minds right now, but like it's not really something that I'm too worried about. I'm more worried that like, cause like right here, he's saying, according to David Ellison, if the purchase goes through, James is staying on. But then every other channel is like trying to push this idea that he's done. This is it. They're guaranteed it's on the table. He's out, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, sure. But in the long run, regardless of who's attached to it, I would just like to see them stay the course. Look, Marvel makes good movies, passable movies, and bad movies. When they make a bad one, they don't just immediately drop all their characters and go, well, that didn't work, wipe it, try again. They go, well, okay, that's not the right way. Let's kind of play with this. And they kind of shift things around and they move, they play, and then they kind of make it work, or they push those characters off into other shows or whatever and kind of play it out. Like, that's just the way that it feels to me. But it's no different than playing the comic book game. You put a couple comics out there, the characters either take off or they don't. You fold them into the universe and you keep on moving. But like DC has yet to really do that. And at this point, the superhero bubble can't last forever. It can't last my whole lifetime, unless I die soon, I guess. But like, that's what worries me about it, is that let's say that the Paramount thing goes through and it's done. And when it is done, let's say that they throw James out. And then after they do that, they go, well, this was all James' creative idea. We're going to wipe the slate and do it again. How many times can we do that? Like, really? And even for people that like didn't like the new Superman, because they're abundant, they exist. Even for people that didn't like the new Superman, would you rather improve on the groundwork that's already laid? Like, kind of give him more direction and change the ideas and kind of move forward from that point and kind of make him a Superman that you and other people would appreciate? Would you rather do that? Or just scrap everything? Because everything in that movie, like, we have a very good Mr. Terrific. He's fun. He's smart. He's got that smart ass energy. He's really enjoyable. You just want him just gone. Just gone. We'll just do another one. Let's get somebody else. And start over. Like, oh my gosh, the Guy Gardner Green Lantern. They basically nailed him. Just toss him. Like, there's potential here, even in the parts that people didn't like. I would hate to see this be one of those things that once again puts us back at square one. Okay, well, let's do new Batman. Let's do new this. And I see so many people trying to push rumors right now that like, oh, the people have spoken. They're bringing back the Snyder Cast. No, they're not. They're not. I'm sorry. I do not believe it. I do not believe it. Been putting in overtime at work for those Stan Sakai figures. Understandable. Dude. They did look cool. I love the stylishness of them, that they actually, like, that they fit that. It's so cool. I remember watching Batman, the animated series on Cartoon Network, but a lot of people remember watching that on WB or Fox Kids because it aired on different channels in different parts of the country. Right. So, like, if I was to say to somebody, hey, did you hear that, like, Disney made so-and-so and you don't keep up with any of that crap and, like, channels are just channels and who really cares? Like the merger thing won't change the common viewer. It's just going to give nerds more things to rage about because we do that, because we do. And like that's really the way that it's going to play out. And then a lot of the other stuff is going to be so behind the scenes that unless we're purposely digging, we're not going to know about it anyway. But I am curious how it will affect my streaming channels. So we're at 16 minutes and we ended up tying on storage and Motu Origins. Okay. Well, because of that means I get to pick. We're doing Motu. And yes, there are 4 choices for Motu, but there's not. There's only one. I'm I'm overriding in this case because this guy, I've been sitting on this guy for a minute and he's getting opened. He's getting opened. It's happening. So this doesn't happen very often, but I am overriding. I'm not even doing the vote. We got to look at this guy specifically. So, yeah, here we go. This, I'm pretty sure, is a Mark Taylor He-Man. That's cool. Look at that. Look at that guy right there. See that guy? This is from the sketchbook collection that they're doing for Origins, and some of these are really, really cool. I'm pretty sure this is from the original. It says on the back, of course, but I mean, even sometimes when it says that, there's a little leeway in terms of what they're considering the sketch art and whatnot. But I'm pretty sure this right here is the original sketch artwork concept for what He-Man was going to be. The axe, the shield, that different kind of look, the hat that's kind of based more on like the original comic Conan the Barbarian stuff. Like this kind of look right here, this, which later was kind of brought into other things as Vicron, for what it's worth. Because pretty much if you look at this guy right here, this concept art was later used to kind of create Vicron in the in classics. And then, of course, there's a Masterverse Vicron. Fantastic figure, by the way. He's one of my favorite figures. And there's, get back. Is there a Vicron for... I'm actually trying to remember. Back up. I cannot remember if there is a Vicron for Origins. I know there's Wondar. There might not be. There might not be. This might be it, technically. For Origins, this might be Vicron. And if we go dig into the artwork, because the artwork is always pretty substantial for these and usually gives you a hint as to what's coming next, my biggest question is, who, like, sure, there's a Skeletor on here that's pretty cool, but who is she? Is that Evelyn? And, whoa, that is a cool thing right there. Give me that figure. Give me her. See her? Give me that. I want her. I don't know who this guy is in the back with the cape and the thing is like a snaky-like guy. That guy, whatever. I don't care. This dude, very, very cool. Absolutely love him. The Skeletor, kind of cool where he's wearing that helmet and everything. I would probably pick him up. I'll be honest about that. That's fine. Her, absolute 100%. I will buy her, sell her. I need to buy her. Just give her to me. Like, I bought a couple things from this because I bought like I bought the other one as well because I wanted the one that like the elephant looking man that kind of reminded me of like a Yog Kasha type of thing because I said that I got the Conan coming that's built on these kind of guys. And now I got a dude that's basically literally young Conan right here. He's basically built to be that. I could do that picture now. I could literally set that picture up tomorrow and see if I could get it to work. Like, that's so cool. This is awesome. There's so many ideas from the sketch work. This is what I mean when I say don't stretch your universe thin. This is what I'm talking about. Like when they condense the universe and you can only basically build off the one family name or one design or one idea, it chokes your universe out and it kills your line. This is brilliant. This, bringing back like the Mark Taylor sketches and then turning those into toys. Like, what if we'd have went ahead with the first initial sketches and made the toy line? That would have been He-Man. This guy right here would have been He-Man. See him? That would have been very different. That's a different look, a different idea, a different attitude. It probably would have changed literally everything about the series that we know today. And arguably, it probably could have expanded the series exponentially. Because Motu, like many other series, once they start getting to a point, they like collapse in on themselves. It's really, really weird. Like, so I don't know, like, you see it all the time. You really do. Lexi, I think. She's a Borkin. She wants to go outside. Because my dog is borking, she wants to go outside. We will open this, and I will let her out. So I will be right back, I guess. Okay. Dog is out. We'll get her soon. First thing, it came with this. That's pretty cool. Has a lot of the old sketch ideas and whatnot. I like that. I think it's very solid. I think it's cool. It really gives you an idea of just how different it was going to be. Like a lot of people, I've seen the interviews and whatnot where they talk about things like how originally when Motu was designed, even some of the guys that were writing for the animated series thought that they were doing a much more serious show than they thought. In fact, the first guy that I remember seeing an interview that really caught my attention was he was writing stories and he was writing for Skeletor. And when he wrote the dialogue, he wrote it in a way that he thought was like menacing. Then he watched the series, and I guess he saw the first episode or whatever, and he heard that voice. And he realized that Skeletor was being played for laughs, that this was a very light-hearted barbarian series. And it crushed him. To the point that he started like trying to write Skeletor more evil. Like so that even with the voice, they wouldn't be able to get around it. They would be screwed into having to make it what it's supposed to be. What he thought it was supposed to be. And they actually started coming back to him and telling him, hey, you can't have Skeletor say that. And he's like, well, why? He's the bad guy. They're like, no, 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 no. That is not the show we are doing. And when the original sketch art and everything was done, the original sketch art was very much grafted on the ideas of like swords and sandals, swords and sorcery, Conan the Barbarian style idea. This was a guy that was rugged. He was tough. He came from the hills. Originally in the main storyline, from what I understand, he was from like a forest people or whatever. And then he came out and he was like, it's very much like a barbarian tribe or whatever. And it's a very different idea than what we ended up getting. This is the nature of all concepts, to be fair. You look at early Star Trek and you see some of the sketches and things like that and the ideas and some of the stuff that they were talking about that never made it into the show, and in some cases, good. Like, this is true for so many different things. The creative process is stepping stones. It's having an idea and then having that idea kind of looked at and then kind of getting this and then changing your opinion on said idea and then trying something else and then working with it and then molding it till it becomes what it's going to become. And it's an even bigger ordeal when you're talking about multiple people. When you're talking about multiple people all contributing to an idea, one set of people might have an idea that looks one way, while the other set has an idea that looks another way, and it is completely different. I mean, you're looking at stuff here where like he has the axe and he's being attacked by like these like monster things that come out of a bog while like a tentacle wraps around his leg while he's standing there contemplating and like just seeing like the wilderness and taking in the luster of nature itself and whatnot, while there's this giant angry monster beast thing and these shadow creatures in the back and he's about to throw Beastman off a cliff. Like, look at all of that and really think this by sketch art alone, by concept design alone, that was going to be Motu. That was going to be Motu. That's wild. Like, it really, if you really look into like how these ideas change over time, it's mind-boggling. And now, finally, after all these years, and I know people are going to say, ooh, but Classics. Classics didn't make this guy. Classics make Vicron. This is concept He-Man. It is different. This, if released in the 80s off the original concept art with zero interference, this would have been He-Man. This right here would have been He-Man. That is very different, right? Look, we're looking at sandals, because that was a thing. That was a Conan the Barbarian thing. Gauntlet here, these I can't remember what these are called, but these shin guards down here. You're looking at them fuzzy shorts, but I love this gold that's wrapped around here. He has the same kind of armbands, but with an extension down here that protects the top of his hand. That's kind of cool. This is more like a leather strap system instead of like a metal like battle brace thing. He has that goofy helmet, which it is kind of goofy, but there it is. And very much with Conan design, he's black maimed, right? That's cool. Now, there is a secondary concept, which I thought was cool, that they sent with this guy, where they have a more traditional He-Man head for this, that then shows what it would have looked like if we kind of would have met in the middle, and I like that too. I think that's kind of cool. I will probably not use that head. Chances are I will almost never use that head, which is fine. I like that it was included, but like, to me, for my purposes right now, that's a solid barbarian. But who knows? Once I get the Conan that's built in this scale, it might be cool to have this one hanging out with him, because it's not really He-Man. You get what I mean? It's kind of a different idea, and it might pass for a different kind of just other barbarian that's roaming around with somebody. So that's kind of cool. There we go. If I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to think of the art. Let me look at the art. Yeah, he's right-handed. And the left hand would hold the shield. And that right there is concept He-Man. It's very, very simple. It's not going to blow anybody's mind necessarily. It's not going to change history. But this is a really cool concept. I really like this idea. I haven't liked all of them. I saw like the Spy Corps and I was like, I don't give a crap. I guess, you know, and I'm like, I'm not adding that to the shelf. I don't care. He doesn't blow my mind or anything like that. But there's a lot of potential in this idea, redoing the concept art, which they did kind of do in Masterverse. Like they were kind of redesigning the concept art and kind of like playing off that. So we had like the big giant red Beast Man and whatnot, which I really like, by the way. I've still got him on my shelf. I love him. And I've got most all of Masterverse on my shelf. Very, very, like, there are things that I missed here later. And once we got past probably about 4 waves after the Bone Throne, I started slowing down on Masterverse and started really getting picky. But that's around the time that they started backing the line. Like, they started backing it off. They started doing things like the girls started coming out with less articulation, which you know I'm not okay with. I've complained about it on multiple videos, and I think it's warranted. We could have had one of the best Evelyn figures ever, and they held back her articulation. They made the decision to take away the bicep swivel and give her the 90-degree elbows. They made that choice. It is the wrong choice. And there's no way you can convince me. And even if they said it out loud, that doesn't make it a good decision if it was a money-saving, a cost-cutting procedure. You know what? Add $2 to the figures. I'll pay for the stupid arms. I need the figures to be correct across the entire line. I think that's important. And I think we would all argue that consistency across a collection line is important. If tomorrow, all of a sudden they said, okay, so we've been having kind of some troubles, so from now on, the legs and the arms on this line, they're going to be solid. They're not going to move. They're going to be solid. They're going to be exactly like the 80s figures. Would that be okay? And from now on, every character that we do, they're going to be like that. They're going to be in a standard action pose just like they were in the 80s. And they will only have this movement and this movement. This weird sideways kick movement. I just dropped my axe. Look at that. I got it. But like, would that be acceptable now, this late into the line, after you already have 40-something figures, and you want the other figures that you get to stand alongside of them? If we can no longer do that, the line is done. And if the line is done, then let it gracefully die. That's fine too. Toy lines end. We've been through this a million times. There's a million different things that we've collected. Probably not a million, I'm being a little exaggeratory, but let's be honest. The Ninja Turtles aren't still producing the exact same figures. The Star Trek has moved on. We don't exactly get those guys the same way we always did. Once the line reaches a point where we have to start cutting angles and we start buying figures that no longer fit into the line, because now you have literally a She-Ra, you have a Teela that could stand next to a Teela, and they can't do the same poses. That's not okay. It's not acceptable in a line, a long-running line. I would argue that every toy line needs to be consistent across the line. In fact, there's another line that I would call out if it wasn't so long ago. But it happened. That the Star Trek Playmates line started with the 90-degree elbow, the movement here, the legs and the knees, the middle bend, the turn, and the neck. Then, For some reason, right around the time that the Generations movie came out, they downgraded all the figures. All of a sudden, the legs were straight. They had 1-point articulation right there at the waist. That was it. And they changed all the arms. All the arms were made so they were 1-point articulation. That's it. So you had like an arm that was basically designed to hold the phaser, and another that was like this, and they could just basically be like, I'm Star Trek. I'm Star Trek. That hurts the line. And as you're collecting now, say you're really into Star Trek and you've never really kind of jumped in, but you kind of know that you could basically get anything, any character almost, relatively, from the Playmates line. So you're like, I think I'd like to start there. They're only like $7. Most of them are all packaged. I can easily get like a huge collection. It's awesome. You jump in and you start getting a bunch of them. You start finding things that you like, only to then start coming across a bunch of figures like Red Suit Data, like Commander Data, but his arms and legs don't work like the other characters. So if you try to put him on your like Star Trek bridge, like let's say you really go the distance and you go out and you get the actual bridge set, right? Or even if you 3D print yourself a bridge, he can't sit in the chair. His legs don't work like the other 2 Datas. Other 5 Datas, to be fair. That's not okay. It's not okay for Masterverse. It wasn't okay for them. I understand cost cutting. And I know that it happens. But sometimes you need to be honest about where that's coming from. You either need to accept the fact that the line has run its course and move on to the next project. Or you need to increase the price of the line to maintain the integrity and stability across the entirety of the line from life to end. And if it can't survive a price increase, then the line is actually dead. There are sometimes situations that increase prices. If they said tomorrow, guys, we gotta increase price. I know it sucks, but these are going up $3. How many people are still buying Origins? Believe it or not, probably still a good amount of people. Origins seems to sell consistently well in the Motu communities. And there are still people that are complaining, I can't get this and I need this and I can't find that. It happens. But take that same idea and take Origins and say, hey, we're gonna stiff lock the legs and the arms because we're gonna cut costs. So it'll still only cost about $15 a figure. It costs more than that. But it'll still only cost about $15 a figure, but we're going to cut all the articulation down so the guys you get now will no longer be compatible with the guys you currently have. It's not going to work. It's not going to be okay. Even when they designed the cartoon lines, they made sure that even the cartoon guys, even though they were the slightest bit bigger, all the articulation scale was exactly the same. So you could literally put that Tila with the other He-Man and it wouldn't hurt anything. You wouldn't even blink an eye. They're compatible across the entire line. That is good work. What they did in Masterverse, it's not acceptable. So I did, if you've noticed, pull back substantially on Masterverse collecting. There's still a lot of it I want. I very much love Masterverse. But when you show me a business practice like this, and then you tell me that we're going in hardcore on a new line, a Chronicles line, and then you say, get in here, Bill, get some Chronicles. You make me go, no, hold on. Am I going to put into this and then find out a little later that like 10 figures in, you're just like screwing me on the next 20? Because if so, I don't want it. Back up, camera. We're done being serious. Yeah. I know. Sometimes these videos turn into like toy topics, and this is one. But this guy makes sense for that conversation. Or rather, it did in the way that I reached it. So, that guy's added to the shelf. I'm going to go let my dog in. Well, let's set up the next thing, and then we will go to the chat. So, there. All right. There, that's back in rotation. There, that's that. Yeah, because I know where that is, so I can get to that. And then... It's interesting. Hold on. Oh, I've got to... Okay, we've got to cut this short. So I will be back. There's a situation that just came up. I've got somebody stranded with a flat tire, and I need to go help them out. So I will be back when that situation is done. Okay? Okay. Sorry, stuff happens. Life, right? Okay, I'll be back.